My name's Alisha and Kelly.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I do live in North Scituate, and then when this process began with the citing of 2015-6, which is the EFSB docket, I did live in Woonsocket. And so when there's talk of this being a Burrillville issue, it's turned into a much wider issue. The original Energy Citing Act actually came about when I was born. I'm turning 30 on Saturday, so I have grown up with this, just to give you a reality of this bill. And so it is sort of concerning that as energy policy is evolving and energy technology is evolving, that this act and this board has not evolved along with it. We see our peers in Connecticut, Massachusetts, the rest of New England, and the rest of the region really evolve their systems, allowing more people on the board. I can only imagine how hard it is for 3 people when this is their part-time duty, trying to create a quorum and still do their normal activities. I can only imagine what the director of the DEM, how many overtime hours they put in. So I do think that expansion in the future is essential to the evolution of this state and this state meeting its energy needs. I do want to bring attention to the board or to this committee legislation that I believe was introduced by the Senate I believe it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, January 18th. It is S-2054, and it's actually an amendment onto this Citing Act. And there's one part that it would like to amend, and it's that the board shall not issue a decision granting a license to any applicant unless the board makes an affirmative determination that construction of the proposed facility will not adversely impact the ability of the state to achieve the carbon emissions reduction goals set forth in 42-6.2-6/A2. For those of you who are probably guessing what that is, that's the Resilient Rhode Island Act of 2014. As I have grown up, I've always looked to the state for accountability. We have legislation that goes through committee, goes to the General Assembly, the governor then signs it. Why are we putting that effort in and taxpayer money being used for this process, and then we're not using this legislation in citings? So I would hope that this board, for lack of a better word, maybe put a recommendation in. I believe that bill is at the Senate Environmental and Agricultural Committee. I could be mistaken. That's the first thing I'd like to mention about that. The gist, though, of what I want to talk about is what is happening in Burrillville right now. Anything that you decide, it's grandfathered in. But this is a learning opportunity for this state, and again, a way for us to evolve. I find it concerning that the act does not take into consideration the impact of state, federal, and municipal parks and open spaces. Those are often taxpayer or, in the case of Durfee Hill, if we're going to talk about federal managed spaces, hunter fee supported land, and we aren't even considering their impacts in a citing. This is taxpayer money. This is my money that's going towards supporting this. These are referendums that are going to the state, to the ballot, and there's no consideration of the impact of that taxpayer money in these sorts of decisions. And so I would hope that we would evolve into taking into consideration that, yes, there is a greater good. I oftentimes talk about the greater good, but what are we really doing here if the surrounding area will be affected to the point of where the greater good doesn't exist? So that is what I would like the board to consider. There's great, Stephanie Sloman has said some really great things that I could talk more and more about, expanding the board, adding to the board, what the board is, but the act itself needs to evolve. Thank you very much for your time.